Okay, we're gonna try to do this, car recap in the dark with the light on in the car. Well, that was a fucking terrible home opener, wasn't it? What was the 22-6 the final? Vikings just put forth one of the, I don't know how many Vikings games I've gone to in my life. I'm sure it's over 100. That's got to be in like the bottom 5 in terms of just pathetic performance. And you got to start at the quarterback position. Or maybe I'll just kind of do the, as things went on. The game got off to just a terrible start. First 2 plays for Atlanta, big chunk runs by Bijan Robinson, who we spent the whole damn night turning into Barry Sanders, and he's a good running back, but come on. Terrible job of getting him down, bad tackling. Held him to a field goal, which was kind of the story. Ended up being the story of the game. We would bend but not break on defense. Then the offense goes out there. All week we're kind of waiting. Okay, what's going to be the follow-up now for J.J. McCarthy after that big fourth quarter on Monday night? And it was very apparent very quickly that it was going to be right back into the shit that it was the first 3 quarters of that game. Same kind of shit. And then for some reason, a ridiculous panic move by KOC. I forget what yard line it was on. It was like the 30-something. And they go for a 4th and 1. And snuck it badly because KOC teams can never, function in short yardage. Got stuffed. Atlanta got a field goal out of it. It was just a total panic move. It was the first drive of the game. Like, you're down 3-0. It was the first drive of the game. That's the kind of thing that you do, after a while, where the game's getting away from you and you got to try something. This wasn't like you got to do this now. I didn't know. I didn't understand anything of why he did that. Yeah, it's a 1 yard, but so. And then the offense was just pretty bad the rest of the game. They finally got a drive going. For the first time in the whole game, McCarthy hit a couple of nice throws. One was to Jefferson, I think. And one was to Naylor, I think. Got it down to the 2, and then we just had a comedy of errors. I think we had a false start. We had a sack, I think. We had a delay of game, which was really weird because the ref was standing behind the center with under 5 seconds left. So we couldn't snap the ball. My car is very annoying. I don't know if that buzzing even comes through, but I've never seen that before, where the ref is standing there basically until the play clock expires. So he couldn't snap the ball, so that cost us 5 yards. So we get a field goal. At least we're on the board. The whole first half, you're just kind of waiting for is something ever going to get going here? And get the ball. It was around the 2-minute warning, and prepare for another buzz, I think. Oh, this car. Oh, now it's stopped. Sure, now it stops. And JJ throws another one of those sideline passes, just like last week, the pick 6, and this one was picked off too. Wasn't returned for a touchdown, but it was picked off pretty deep in our end. Defense holds. It's just 9-3, and I was like, okay, 9-3 at the half is a miracle. But the one thing we've been able to do this year is pull miraculous last-second field goals in the first half out of our ass. Somehow Jefferson got super wide open downfield. McCarthy hit him. Riker went out there, boomed a 50-something yarder, and it's 9-6 at the half. And I'm like, again, okay, with last week in mind, it's like, okay, that's just going to happen again now. Maybe we're just going to do that again. We're going to have a terrible first half and then, pick it up in the second half for the fourth quarter. But it never happened. Third quarter was more shit, just bad play. Just JJ almost threw another interception. Got lucky. It kind of bounced off the turf, so it didn't go as an interception, but I think it was a third down. So the punt. Just nothing happening. They eke out another field goal. Parker Romo's the kicker. Atlanta just picked him up this week. Is that Koo? He's I don't know if he's hurt or if they just got sick of him. But Parker Romo, who saved our ass for a couple of games last year. I believe the Jacksonville game. He scored all our points. So it's like 12-6. It's like, okay, we're still maybe like. I'm kind of like, you just watch the clock, like, maybe we just get to the fourth quarter. Maybe stupidly believing that there's actually something to this based off of one fucking game against the Bears, who got 52 thrown up on them today by Detroit. So it makes it look worse that we couldn't do shit against them for 3 quarters last week. But it gets the fourth. It just never happened. It just nothing ever worked out. They couldn't move the ball. McCarthy's misfiring on everything. He's pitching balls into the fucking turf, and then it gets to be like 15-6, and then the play that got a lot of people pissed off and started a lot of people heading to the exit. This was probably one of the earliest I've ever left a Vikings game before, but I didn't quite leave yet at that point, where they punted down 15-6 with I think a little over 9 minutes left on a 4th and 1. It was kind of a similar spot where they'd gone for the 1. I mean, at that point you gotta go for it, but they didn't. But it would have been some stupid play anyway. I mean, I think it was the 3rd and 1. Before that, they chuck a deep ball and McCarthy badly overthrew, I think, Naylor. 4 years into this with KOC, he can't run. He can't scheme a short yardage play to save his life. It's just really frustrating that's never improved. But and then it was kind of just they took the ball and just drove down the field, scored again. I guess I was out of the stadium. I guess McCarthy threw a pick then, and I think we muffed a punt, so we ended up with a couple more turnovers at the end. But whatever. Just a terrible performance. Not even 200 yards of offense. I think we had 10 first downs. I mean, this is just a nothing on. This is 8 quarters into the season, and 7 of those quarters have been absolutely some of the worst football offensively that I've ever seen from the Vikings. Now, you do have to also acknowledge that the injuries are a major thing. We didn't have Darisaw tonight. Ryan Kelly got a concussion, I guess. He's out of there. Obviously, we don't have Addison because of the suspension. Justin School, who was terrible last week, was terrible again in this game. And the offensive line was absolutely horrible. I get it, they're down some guys, but everybody contributed to the offensive line being terrible. And this was supposed to be the season now where we don't have this shit with the offensive line, but we do. And I get they're playing it, trying to play careful with Darisaw and stuff. I thought last week it was just the Soldier Field turf, but you got to get him out there. I'm super down on McCarthy, but there is the part that he's getting killed. I mean, they got 5 sacks in the first half. I think I saw it was the first time Atlanta's had 5 sacks in a half since 2009. That. I mean, it was embarrassing. I mean, every Vikings fan is familiar with bad offensive line play. This was some of the worst. But with that, it's also why are no plays being drawn up or called to take advantage of your quarterback's mobility? JJ McCarthy is a mobile guy. Why are they just having him drop back with guys in his face every play? what is the point of that? I mean, I've seen it before. This is, when Dobbs Mania crashed and burned, it's because they started keeping his ass in the pocket. They wouldn't let him run. They wouldn't let him use his athletic ability to get out and try to make plays. There was McCarthy had one good run in this game for like 14 yards at one point. But I don't know if they had a single designed run the whole game. And I think last week they only had the one designed QB run, and that was the touchdown. I don't know why KOC doesn't want to use a mobile quarterback's mobility. Like, I'm down on KOC. This was a really bad KOC game. The fourth down that he went for versus the one that he didn't go for. The horrible, the horrible run game. I mean, KOC can talk about how he wants to have a team that runs the ball more. I don't know that he can really do an offense that is like a run first type of offense, because there's no creativity in the run game. Jordan Mason was clearly the better guy tonight than Aaron Jones again, and Gerald Jones got hurt later in the game. Didn't matter at that point. We barely touched the ball after that, but I'm almost home. This is going to be either a short video or I'm just going to have to finish. Maybe I'll pause it and finish it after I get But this is atrocious offense for 7 of 8 quarters. I mean, the one good quarter feels like a fluke. It feels like you played the Bears and the Bears just bared for a quarter. Like, and you can say growing pains, young quarterback, all that stuff, but they weren't coming into this talking up like, oh, we're gonna almost sacrifice the season just to have J.J. McCarthy grow. No, they thought he was the guy. They thought he was ready to roll now. After sitting for a year and learning, and they thought he was ready to go. That's why they didn't go out and sign all these free agents and stuff just to dick around. Like that they did this thinking that, hey, we won 14 games last year with Darnold. Let's go. Let's try to win with McCarthy. We think we can win with McCarthy. They could have signed Darnold. They could have signed somebody else. Daniel Jones is 2-0. I'm just saying, he's looking pretty good right now. Aaron Rodgers sucks. He was terrible today. So I mean, week one he had was a fluke. But it's like, yeah, he pulled a rabbit out of his hat in the fourth quarter in Chicago. That's looking like it could be a fluke. He's giving me Tim Tebow vibes. Tim Tebow could kind of do that too. He could look like one of the worst quarterbacks ever for most of a game, and then out of nowhere he'd pull some voodoo shit, and suddenly they'd win the game. But that sure as hell wasn't sustainable. The idea is you're got this guy and you're going to try to go win a Super Bowl with this guy at some point. And maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it's just maybe I'm not following my own advice. Where I would say some of the years where everyone was dumping on Kirk. Well, if you go get a young quarterback, you're going to have to deal with the growing pains, and he might not be good. Well, I mean, they're not gonna bench McCarthy. I mean, there's nobody to bench him for. You're not gonna bench him for Brosmer, and you're not gonna bench him for Wentz because Wentz has only been here a little while. And you're not gonna trade for anybody. You're not gonna call up the Falcons before they leave town and say, hey, can we trade for Kirk Cousins? That's not gonna happen. So, this is what it's gonna be, and I'm almost home, so I think I'm gonna do the rare half car recap and half home recap, and then we'll see what happens here. Because maybe I'm just being an overreactor on this, but this was one of the worst football games that I've ever seen in person in my life. So I'm going to pause. I got to make sure I hit pause and not stop, because if I hit stop, then that's gonna be the end of the video. And we can't end the video yet. There's so much more to do. So at least we don't have any more primetime games. I fucking hate primetime games, man. We got a nice noon game next week. That'll be fun. So, all right. As soon as I park here, then I'm gonna hit pause, and then we will continue the rant over this fucking horrible football game very shortly. So, so we'll see you inside. Okay, we're back, and we're still mad. But I'm having some ice cream because you know what? After sitting in the stadium watching that debacle, I deserve a little bit of ice cream. So, and you're gonna have to listen to me talk with ice cream, and I'll just deal with it. So I was kind of getting into the McCarthy thing, you know, and I already had voiced some of my displeasure with McCarthy on social media, and already got some blowback that it's the second game. Like I get like you want to do the pros and cons thing or whatever. It's like second game, 22 years old or whatever, offensive line not looking good. Questionable, certainly. I think some very questionable offensive play calling. But on the other hand, it's like, and yes, there have been quarterbacks. There are quarterbacks who are good now, who are really good, like top of the line quarterbacks. I'm not asking J.J. McCarthy to be fourth quarter in Chicago, J.J. McCarthy, every drive of every game. No. But this is horrible. He has looked horrible for 7 of 8 quarters. Regardless of what the reasons are, he has looked terrible for 7/8 of his NFL career so far. And when it looks bad with him, it looks so bad. Like, and I just look at it that the Vikings told us with their actions with the roster, that what they're doing is, it's you hear about all the time. It's the rookie quarterback contract, and then you build the roster around the rookie quarterback. Well, the rookie quarterback, or in this case the second year quarterback, they have to be good. The only way this works, the only way this whole thing works with building you spend all the money on the rest of the roster while you have a cheap quarterback. The only way that works is if that quarterback is really good right away. You can't just stick any fucking dud quarterback out there. You couldn't stick, even like the occasionally decent version of like Christian Ponder out there, and with a good roster, go win a Super Bowl. That's not going to work that way. If a really good supporting cast can lift up a quarterback, but if the quarterback isn't good, except in little flashes here and there, fourth quarter in Chicago, a couple plays in the preseason, I mean, even just the fact that they barely played the guy in the preseason. That's another thing. They're telling us that we're ready for this guy to like lead this team. This roster we built, spent all this money to beef up the trenches. Not looking like it's money well spent to this point. I don't blame the defense for really anything. I mean, the defense had they had some issues last week. They had some issues obviously with Bijan Robinson. They were terrible at stopping him tonight. Obviously on the defensive end, talking about the offensive injuries. We didn't have Van Ginkel. We lost Cashman for a while. Harrison Smith, I don't know what's going on there. If he's ever gonna fucking play. Okuda was out. You know, I don't think like issues in the secondary were the problem because they really didn't have to throw because they were just running down our throats so much. Um, I mean, it's hard to tell who is like blowing everything on defense. Apparently, Ivan Pace was looking really really bad. Um, I wonder if he's kind of turned into a pumpkin, but you know, you know, but back to McCarthy, like I hope that this video and some of my complaints on social media, I hope that these are things I can look back on later and be like, you idiot, what were you so worried about? But I've not been really bullish on McCarthy to begin with. Um, I wasn't crazy about the pick in the first place. I'm gonna pause for just a second. Okay, you don't need to wait while I eat. Um, you know, and this doesn't mean, as far as the quarterback and what they've done, you know, I rocked the Kirk jersey, of course, because he was in the building tonight. But I would not have given him. I would not have given him the contract Atlanta gave him to keep him around coming off the injury. I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have, broke the bank for Sam Darnold to keep him. He got a nice, Seattle got a nice win today, though. Um, Darnold's played okay. Um, Daniel Jones 2-0. I mean, that was just a complete unknown because he never actually played for us, but he's looked pretty good for a couple games. You know, and you drafted this guy. You traded up a spot to make sure that you get him. I would have been fine if they had just drafted Bo Nix or something, or I would have been fine if I would have liked if they got Penix, but obviously he was drafted before we could have gotten. I mean, we could have traded up too, but you know, um, I was never that high on this pick in the first place. I mean, it's the knocks on him, that he wasn't exactly like prolific passer in college. He's in a system where he didn't have to throw it much. Now the points that I've seen him, in the preseason, and he's, a couple times in the preseason, he's made some plays. Obviously, fourth quarter in Chicago, made some plays. Had a couple good plays in this game, but you expect that this guy's going to hit the ground running a little more than he has, or a lot more than he has, um, because of what we've been told. What this team told us as fans with what they did in the offseason. Because I mean, you could believe whatever you want that maybe they, were they serious about maybe trying to bring back Darnold? Did they genuinely have any interest in Aaron Rodgers? You know, I think no matter what, I mean, unless Darnold had gone on a playoff run last year, I don't think there's any scenario where they weren't going to be handing the reins to McCarthy. And this is why. Um, because you know it's not always going to work with these guys. Like, I mean, there's what, 6 quarterbacks taken in that first round of that draft class. There's no way they're all going to be good. Caleb Williams doesn't look like he's going to necessarily work out. Whereas like Gene Daniels looks great. Penix, maybe. Bo Nix obviously was very good last year. I'm forgetting Drake May. He's looking okay. But boy, this is it's frustrating because they've really tied the whole Viking ship to JJ McCarthy, and I wonder what's going to happen if he turns out to be a dud. Because if he's let's say this just is a really rough the whole season. It's really rough. Um, what do you do? Are they gonna are they gonna you know run it back next year with McCarthy if he looks bad all year? I mean, and what does that mean for the general manager? Because he's already been under fire for some of his bad drafting, and you blow that quarterback pick, that can really set you back. You know, I mean, this isn't the, this is a very veteran team, and they made it that way by signing all these guys. So you know, it's not going to be just like, oh well 2025 was kind of bumpy because we were trying to break in JJ McCarthy for 17 games. Well, you got a lot of veteran players on this team that are not going to stand for well, we're just going to let this entire season go to shit just for one guy. And I'm not saying there's like that the players are like thinking, oh god, the season's going off the rails because of this guy. I mean, they're 1-1. There are a lot of teams that don't even have one win so far. The Chiefs don't have a win. The Bears don't have a win. Like, you start 1-1. It's not a death sentence. I mean, you can still do something with your season like that. Maybe But much as I hate to admit it, the Packers have looked very good so far, and the Lions put up 52 today, even if it was against the Bears. Well, we didn't put up 52. We only could do anything in one quarter. So, I just hate the idea that it's like this. It's the fear that this doesn't work. Everyone's been like, "Oh, you got it." This is certain people in the media who hated, this guy. Just, like if you get a rookie quarterback and surround him with a roster, then you go win a Super Bowl. But what if you don't? What if you don't? What if it doesn't work? I'm not saying like, oh, you had to win a Super Bowl. You would have to win a Super Bowl this year. Like I've said, I think if the season winds up short of that, but it looks like McCarthy's the guy, hey, we can work with that going forward. But I just worry what's going to happen if it's not, if they did blow this, and McCarthy's just a guy like Tim Tebow. Just, I don't know why Tim Tebow is the name that keeps getting stuck in my head. It's just kind of a, I think it's because he got a lot of hype coming out of college, but there wasn't a lot there to indicate that he was actually going to work at the NFL, and of course he really didn't. Did he end up being like a running back or something for the Patriots or something? But anyway, this video is nearly half an hour long, and my ice cream is melting. Drip, so it shows that it's melting. No, it's not cooperating. But this was a really, just to go, most of this has been about McCarthy, but I mean, this was a terrible game. Really, this is the kind, just like the last week was the kind of game that kind of energized a fan base for a season. This is the kind of game that can just suck all that enthusiasm out. Now next week we got the Bengals in here. No Joe Burrow. He got hurt. Today. I guess it's a turf toe thing, and he's going to be out for quite a while. Jake Browning, who beat us a couple years ago, that miserable game. That was Nick Mullins' game late in the season when we were still thinking maybe we could sneak out a playoff berth out of that 2023 season, and we got beat by Jake Browning with like a big comeback, and he got a big comeback today. So he's gonna, I'm not too worried about what the defense is gonna do, but if your offense gives no support to your defense, and I don't know, and who the hell knows who's going to be healthy or not healthy next week. I mean, I mean, that's the other thing. It's like this whole season could go off the rails because of injuries. Because I mean, had a couple guys go down in this game and then get back in there. I know Bernard was hurt briefly, but then he was back in and got a sack. But I mean, we lost our center, we lost Aaron Jones for a while, and who knows what what the severity of some of these things are. But we were already down a couple guys, and it's like, and Jordan Addison's on suspension. That's not ending for a couple weeks, so it's like, maybe we've got some depth. I mean, hell, Eric Wilson is out there playing, forced the fumble that kind of was our first good play of the whole game tonight. He's only out there because because of injury. Because I think he got out there because of the Cashman injury last week. And he's making plays. It's like you hope the next guy steps up, but I don't know what what were we thinking, man, with Darisaw. We knew Darisaw was probably not going to be ready at the start of the season, and the best we could get to fill in for him was Justin School, and then he got hurt tonight. I think we had Walter Rouse in there, and I don't know what happened to Blake Brandel. Why is he not? He's he not the guy to throw out there? But I mean, they weren't very prepared on that, so. It's all down. It's all down right now. And 7 of 8 quarters of this season have been absolutely unwatchable. And of course, we had to do it all in prime time, where we're the only game on, everyone's watching. So, but I'm gonna stop talking. Hopefully next week's better. Maybe I'm just overreacting and just to a particularly awful game. I mean, even this guy had a few awful games here and there, but it's just this was really, really bad. This was like a bottom 5 Vikings game I've ever gone to. This was really, really ugly football, and hopefully it gets better, because if it doesn't get better, it's going to be a long season.